So this paragraph starts off with two ablative absolutes, right? We got this first one, and then we've got an ablative absolute right here. Okay, in this first ablative absolute, what is it missing that you would usually see in an ablative absolute?
Like the word, like being.
The word being, which is a participle, right? So you got to stick that in your English translation. So we got with Marcus Tullius Cicero, the orator, and Caius Antonius being consuls. Okay, why does he tell us that? As that's how they told the years. Well, why was that a good way for them to tell the years? Because the consuls
Only ruled for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, only it changed every year, right?
Yeah.
So that was a good way to tell what year it was. Okay, then we've got in the 691st year from the founding of the city. Okay, so that was the second way they did the years. Okay, so if I wanted to get the BC date from the 691 AUC date, whoops. Okay, so I'm going to do 754 minus 691, and I come up with 63. So as we talked about yesterday, Eutropius was not a contemporaneous eyewitness source to what was happening, right? He was writing about 100 years later. So he's kind of putting his own, historical bias or spin on the events that happened. However, he did use a lot of primary sources, like court records and things like that, official documents, to kind of come up with his history along with things that, everybody else knew. Okay, so we start out with those ablative absolutes, and then we come up to our subject. Okay, so the subject of the sentence is Lucius Sergius Catalina. Catiline. Who was Catiline? Yeah, the conspiracy to overthrow Rome that wasn't really successful, right? Okay, so then we have a noun and some adjectives that describe him, right? So this is kind of like a positive. So the first one is a man, right? What's the adjective that describes him? Okay, a man. Whoops. Of most noble birth or kind, but of most corrupt character.
How can you be noble but have...
He was a noble birth. So he was born to people that were noble.
Yeah, he was born
But in reality,
born to the nobility, but he's not a good person.
Okay, and I think what's kind of interesting here is Eutropius uses the superlative, right? Do you see how nobilissimi and pravissimi are superlative? To kind of look at two, he was should have been the Roman, right? Because he was born of most noble birth. But he had the crappiest character possible.
The bad guy.
Does that make sense? Do you see how he is showing kind of two extremes there?
Yeah.
Okay, so he, right, and here's our main verb, conspired, okay, to destroy the fatherland. Okay, well we already knew that. Okay, to destroy the fatherland. Then we got this prepositional phrase here, with. It's like adjectives, Orama, with certain famous indeed.
Like certain people famous indeed?
Well, yes, it's like certain men famous indeed, but.
Certain famous men indeed.
Well, you're gonna say, but with certain famous indeed, but reckless men. Well then, but so does reckless, right? So I think he's doing that dichotomy again. They were well known, but they were too reckless for their own good. They weren't upholding the idea of, what it means to be Roman.
Okay.
So like they were really famous, but they were also loose cannons.
Yeah. They were really famous, but they were also...
Like, is he saying like they were famous in a good way? Like
No, they were like distinguished, like notable. They weren't just like random senators.
okay, so like Brutus, if Brutus like was an adrenaline junkie.
Yeah, but adrenaline junkies. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good way to think about it. Okay, in the next sentence, who is our subject?
Cicero.
Well, but look, Cicero's in the what case?
The city.
City.
Nope, the city in the nominative.
Hey.
It's he. Who is he?
Oh, it comes from the verb.
Catiline, right?
So he explored.
It's passive. He was expelled
Bye.
from the city by Cicero.
There you go, too.
Okay, and so if I ask you that a cicerone is what kind of ablative? It's a person that's up with the passive verb.
Is it me?
No. How about agent? Remember ablative of agent?
Yes.
Oh, because by Cicero.
Yeah, because by Cicero.
Okay, cool.
Okay, I was gonna say I really mean, but never mind. That makes more sense.
Okay, let's look at the next sentence. What's my subject of the next sentence?
They?
His Sokii. Your Sokii are like your peeps.
Okay. So friends?
Comrade.
Your comrades. Yes, your comrades.
Comrade.
Okay, so his comrades. Okay, so you can do this one of two ways. You can either use this sunt over here twice with both deprehensi and with strangulate, and then so you would be like his peeps were arrested. Well, I think I wouldn't do that. I think I would do it like a perfect passive participle. Let's erase that. Oh.
Having been arrested were...
Yeah, his peeps having been arrested were... What's strangulati? It's like strangled. I don't know. I think we should probably look that one up. Were...
Why were they strangled?
Well, why were they strangled? I mean, think about it.
Oh. They tried that.
Were strangled in prison.
I don't know if the word strangled is it,
Wait, it should be for what?
but it's not. Okay, we're strangled in prison. Why were they strangled?
They were trying to overthrow Rome.
Yep.
Didn't like that.
Okay, then we got another ablative of agent. So by Antonius, right, who was our consul back up here. Another consul.
That's like describing, yeah.
Yep. Okay. Catiline himself. Okay. Well, PPP, having been
Victorious.
not victorious, defeated,
Oh yeah.
conquered, having been conquered. Yep. Having been conquered in battle was what? Was killed.
Hey, it's tainted history.
The Trojans had a lot of opinions about things.
That's 29.
So like on a test, would you give us like a paragraph like this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
Okay, so let's look at